Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Oh, that's me. Hi. How you doing? Welcome to the show. Beautiful, sunny, warm day. Enjoy. It's February 9, 2022. I add the year just so I remember it. I don't know what's with me, but I sometimes am in denial about the year, and it's way too late in the year to still not be comfortable with the fact that it's 2022. I'm always more comfortable with years that are even numbered, and I have not a clue why that is. I'm going to talk a little bit today. First of all, I want to say that the video of Kevin McCarthy, the would-be, soon-to-be, perhaps, God help us, Speaker of the House, running from a reporter asking him whether he agrees with the fact that January 6th was legitimate political discourse. And, from the little snippet I saw, somebody posted that video of Tom Hanks as, running in, what's the movie where Tom Hanks played the, box of chocolates. It was unbelievable. There is an image of absolute cowardice. And it's not just an image. There is the embodiment of cowardice. God. But I want to talk about things that could be or should be, because when you spend all your life in the United States of America, you work here. I'm talking about myself and probably most of you. Your whole professional life is here. You've lived your life here. We sort of, what is, and you accept it. But more and more, it is becoming clear that the way things work, and I use that term very, with a million little quote marks around it. The way things work around here is really badly, sometimes cruelly, in any other civilized nation would be considered unacceptably. I was reminded of that by seeing that Dolly Parton. I want Dolly Parton to be president, please. What a fine human being she is. Dolly Parton, who has a lot of money and a lot of heart and owns something called Dollywood Parks and Resorts, has announced that all of her employees at her resort and park, whether they be seasonal, coming in the summer, whether they be part-time, full-time, doesn't matter. If they ever get a check from her, that they will, if they want to pursue higher education, be given all of the costs. Dolly will pay tuition, any fees. She'll pay for the books. Imagine that. You're a part-time employee, and she's willing to do that for you. That runs so counter to the way things work in the United States of America. Another case in point. I saw a tweet, and this tweet is representative of millions of Americans, from a guy named Sean McCoy. I'm 27 years old. I have $120,000 in debt from an undergraduate degree. I've been paying $970 a month, good God, for 5 years. And of the nearly $60,000 I have paid in that time, only $2,000 has gone towards my loan. I ask again, how the fuck was this ever legal? You tell me. You tell me. Other countries, sort of like Dolly Parton, make higher education available to anyone free. See, everything in this country has got to make somebody rich. Profit is all. Profit over people. That should be the United States motto. Profit over people. How do we expect to have a nation when our young people who've done everything we told them to, oh, you have to have a college education or you'll never get ahead, go to college, even though they can't afford college because college has become obscenely expensive. Obscenely expensive. And for what reason? You tell me. Chances are you'll pay all this money and you'll sit in classes where you're being taught by somebody who isn't even making $15 an hour, some adjunct, some poor soul who's probably got more student debt than you can even imagine because they might have a PhD and they still can't get on a tenure track. So they're hired as an adjunct and paid nothing. Next to nothing. So what are you paying for? All that money to go to college. Oh, yeah, you got to pay those. You got to pay the football coach. I mean, you got to. I mean, the football coach is going to make $80 million a year. I'm sorry, that's got to get paid. The highest paid employee in every state in this union is a basketball or football coach. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe not every state. Maybe just 46, 47. And for the ones who aren't, it's the chief medical. It's like the guy who heads UPMC or something. This is a system that is cruel, that is broken, totally broken. I had the TV on yesterday, and up pops an ad about Medicare. Do you have Part C? If you don't have Part C, which also takes in Part A and Part B, and if you don't have A or B or C, and I was listening to this and I was thinking, who the hell dreamed up this absurd system that nobody understands? If you're going to have health care provided, why are these like layers of it? Where if you get Part A, if you think you're covered, you're an idiot. No, you need to buy Part B. Now, what does Part B do? Well, something. Not sure, something. And then it turns out you're still an idiot if you don't get Part C. And it's up to you to figure it out. I got part A, I got part B, I got part C, and if you want to know the truth, I don't have a frigging clue. I don't know if it's a good plan I got. I don't know. I don't know anything. I really don't. I just stumble my way through the maze that the leaders of our political system have created to supposedly take care of us. This kind of absurd Rube Goldberg kind of healthcare exists nowhere on earth except here. And it's crap. The system is crap from beginning to end. It doesn't really function. You know why? Because it's, again, profit driven. Even if the hospitals will call themselves non-profit, I can assure you, up is down, black is white, non-profit is profit. And you? You're a cog. You're a peon. You are meant to do as you're told and shut up. And when some American workers say, you know, this just isn't right, and they rise up, well, lots of stuff happens to them, usually bad. Pittsburgh is an epicenter of that history. A lot of people died here trying to maintain a measure of human dignity in their work. Corporate thugs came in and killed them. Government thugs. Workers stepping out of line. And now workers around the country are starting to get a little agitated again. You know, if you owe $120,000 in pay off your wonderful college education, and the only work you could find was as a barista at Starbucks, well, that's America. That's our wonderful system. And so at least you think, we got to unionize. This is crap. And so you attempt to do what our laws say is legal, attempt to create a union to negotiate with Starbucks instead of it all being top down, to have a seat at the table. And you know that this is starting to grow. Very few Starbucks employees are unionized, but it is starting. Efforts in city after city and store after store. And in Memphis, it's going on. You know what Starbucks just did? They fired every single person who worked in that Memphis Starbucks who was actively trying to create the union. Now, that's illegal. But, you know, that'll end up going into a complaint to the National Labor Relations Board. This will take a lot of time. Meanwhile, these people will be out of work. Who the hell knows? This is being a worker in America. I told you the other day of countries where you can't call an employee after they've left and say, we need this done. We need this done. You have to keep working, work. You don't have to always be on call when you get so little back. Starbucks. I got to tell you guys, you know, I do not frequent. I was in a Starbucks once, actually, to meet John McIntyre. Never been in one since. Helps that I don't drink coffee. But I do have to say this. Now knowing what a vile corporation this is, if you still have your Starbucks stop every day, shame on you. I mean it, shame on you. First of all, Starbucks is raising prices again. I guess that's because one little shop, in Buffalo managed to unionize. So, well, that totally throws their projections of the massive profits they're going to earn, into a flux. So they're raising prices again. They're blaming labor costs. Yeah, oh, sure. They're blaming labor costs and, supply chain, anything else they can come up with. Meanwhile, guess what? The CEO of Starbucks just got a raise. 39% raise. Making, 20.4 million a year. And yet they will go to the mat trying to keep people who do the work getting a raise, a little raise. And in the millions, a few bucks here and there. It's just, I read a story recently about, I think it was in Seattle. There's I think it's Seattle. There is a fast food place called Dick's Drive-In. And it's, well known and beloved. And they pay their employees minimally $19 an hour. Dick's Drive-In pay their employees, hamburger flippers, ladies and gentlemen, $19 an hour. Every person working there gets free health care, gets 3 weeks paid vacation. They've got 401ks with a 50% employer match, and they also get $9,000 a year toward child care or tuition. That's an American employer. Sort of like Dolly Parton. And they are so rare. But Dick's Drive-In has been successful for generations. The people who own it are living just fine. Thank you very much. The basic burger it sells, guess what you get it for? $1.80. This is now 3 generations owned. They had to raise prices a little bit last year. Their deluxe burger went up by 25 cents. Some other items by 5 cents, 10 cents. The CEO said, we appreciate that customers are not complaining. We like to be able to pay the highest wages, excuse me, and benefits in our industry. It's something we're very proud of. But to do it, we have to sell a lot of burgers and sometimes have to charge a little bit more. The most expensive thing on the menu is $4.25. Place has been in business for 70 It does not have to be the way it is. The corporatization of America and the way it treats workers does not have to continue, does not have to be, if the people, we the people, demand it. And that means not stepping foot in a fucking Starbucks. You vote with your money. It's all they understand. It's something I just can't, my loathing of how America is structured. It's cruelty. And it's a word I use over and over again, but it is apt. It's cruelty. And we don't even see it because we're inured, because we think that's the way it has to be, because that's the way it's always been. I don't understand people giving their charitable dollars to the university they went to. They don't need it. Tell them you'll give them some money if they lower the tuition. If they lower the tuition by thousands and thousands a semester, if they reacquaint themselves with the mission of education as opposed to branding and sports and making bucks, it's all now set up in the same way. Sickening. We have gone totally astray. And to continue to tell our young people that they have to have a college degree, which will bankrupt them, which will dig them into a hole they will never climb out of. This 26 years old, 27-year-old guy who owes all that money, he's been paying $1,000 a month since he graduated. Didn't he say 900 or something? And almost none of it goes to whittling down what he owes. It goes to interest. It goes to interest on the loan. How, he says, is this legal? I repeat the question. How is this legal? People who make their money in this way, and they're always very respectable people in their community because they're rich, should be shunned. Oh, sorry. My head does want to explode. Do you understand? Do you ever, as you go about your day, as you pay your bills, does it ever occur to you, wait a minute, is this the best we can do? Isn't there some other template? Oh yeah, there is. In almost every other civilized, I don't think we are. In every other civilized, we aren't included in that. In civilized nations, they don't do this to their people. They don't. There's actually still, even though the capitalists have gone into those places too, they still have governments that see their job as buffering, regulating the extraordinary, insatiable greed of capitalists. You know, the human brain is wired to always want more. I was just reading something about this. There's actually going to be a course, and I think I'm signing up, about how you can work to get yourself out of that mindset. And this is coming from, I think, Atlantic Magazine. Arthur C. Brooks, who is a brilliant man. And he says that if you want to make yourself happier, you gotta stop wanting more. This guy makes a list, 2 lists, once a year. He writes down all the things he wants. Like money, power. And then he envisions a happy life 5 years hence, and writes down the forces that could help him achieve happiness. That turns, when he starts thinking about it, to things like family, friendship, community. Because you have to confront your bucket list. You have to think of what really does make you happy. But it turns out that the way our brains are wired, once you get what you want, you are not satisfied. If you're honest, you'll agree with that statement. Once you get what you want, there might be a moment of exaltation and sense of satisfaction. And then you want more. Something in the way we're wired is to never be satisfied. So if you're looking for satisfaction, forget about it. We're wired to just keep wanting more and more and more. And something I always wondered, like, why does somebody like Elon Musk or any of these other despicable excuses for humanity, when they have so much, clearly want more, and they want to retain what they have? What is that about? It's insanity. They don't need it. They have no moral right to it. What the hell? I don't know, guys. I just got to tell you. Okay, funniest tweet I saw today, sort of on the subject, because it makes fun of all the tweets you see. You know, I just got accepted to Stanford. And this tweet was this. Cracked me up. Just got into Harvard. All caps. They left the first floor window unlocked, and I'm just walking around in here. Barbara sent me this about another thing Dolly Parton does that I do support as well. It's called the Imagination Library. It's dedicated to inspiring a love of reading by giving books free of charge to children from birth to age 5 through funding with local community partners. Here in Pittsburgh, it's, God, what's it called? I was doing my taxes and I saw it. Reading, the affiliate here, I do give money to. And she does this around the world. And she says that when I was growing up in the hills of East Tennessee, I knew my dreams would come true. I know there are children in your community with their own dreams. They dream of becoming a doctor, inventor, a minister, who knows? Maybe there's a little girl whose dream is to be a writer and singer. The seeds of these dreams are often found in books. And the seeds you help plant in your community can grow across the world. Hang on, I'm going to find the partner here. And I just got to get into my tax crap. Because you know how sometimes you write, this is instead of giving a check to your goddamn university. Whatever you were going to give to your goddamn university, give to Reading Ready Pittsburgh. Okay? Reading Ready Pittsburgh. And you can find it at readingreadypittsburgh.org. Okay? And they work in cahoots with this effort. Okay? Reading Ready Pittsburgh. Free books for children from birth to age 5 to help them dream. They've already gifted 175 million books around the world. And I'll tell you, it feels good to give money when you know it's going to something as wonderful as getting books to children. William has sent some wise words from Mr. Spock, not Doctor, Mr. After a time, you may find that having is not so pleasing a thing after all as wanting. It is not logical. It is often true. Having is not so pleasing as wanting. It's like I know anyone who has worked really hard for something and then they get it, it is often followed by a sense of almost loss. Because you've lost that thing that powered you, the reaching for, the working toward. And once you have it, now what? It is in the journey. It's not in the getting. I remember how, I think it was my brother, who when he finally got his PhD or his JD or whatever the hell he got, everyone was saying, oh, congratulations. And he was just sitting there looking like he was going to kill himself. Just totally depressed. Not unlike what some people feel after sex. Just a, whoa! And then, now what? If we know this about ourselves, we might take more pleasure in the striving rather than in the getting.
Bob writes, it's stories like what you mentioned just now on your show about Dolly Parton.
Helping her employees get tuition for college. It makes me appreciate your rants against Dr. Pepper's tuition giveaway. I don't even remember that. But it was something vile, right? Yeah, he says, yeah, Dr. Pepper's tuition. Oh, I remember this. Oh, it was obscene. Dr. Pepper sponsored a tuition giveaway where students threw footballs at an inflatable Dr. Pepper can. Earn a college tuition. Sickening. Oh, God, guys, come on. Got to see things as they are, whether it's a pretty picture or not, and it's not. And because it's not, what are you going to do? A great way of resistance is to want less and to stop being part of this incessant American economy of forcing us to desire so that they can get our money. And we can get what? What? All right, here's a story that I've been sitting on. I can't seem to find time to get it in. And I told myself after yesterday's show, you're getting it in tomorrow. So here it is. I got to get it in. You might have seen the story. I don't know. It was in the New York Times a few days ago, Sunday. And it's about a butterfly refuge, which sounds like an amazing thing. First of all, how do the butterflies know it's a refuge? I mean, it's not like they're walled in because they can fly out. But it is the National Butterfly Center. And it's in Mission, Texas. And it's been there for a long time, and it is there. It is created to attract butterflies. And it does. And consequently attracts people who love to walk there and to see the butterflies. It was created about 20 years ago by a guy named Jeffrey Glassberg. And obviously loves butterflies. It is now closed. Been closed now for a few weeks. And it is because more people than usual have begun showing up there. And they're not there to look at the butterflies. They're there to search for the children who are being held there and sex trafficked. Mm-hmm. They come looking for the human smugglers. And some have had altercations, physical, with some of the poor staff. A candidate for, I believe, Congress in not Texas, some other state, showed up. And she was there to see for herself what was going on. This is, of course, reminiscent of that poor pizza parlor that existed in Washington, D.C., and word had it in the crazy verse that that's where Hillary Clinton and a bunch of other Democrats were, I guess, I don't know, holding children for sex, and some schmo, got a gun and headed up to D.C. and shot the place up. Do you remember? You remember that? The woman who now is the center's executive director, a woman who was accosted physically by the congressional candidate, said, when I took this job, I thought I'd be able to spend a good amount of time outdoors, butterflies, birds, educating children, writing grants. And now every day, my children literally worry whether I'm going to survive my day at work. So the founder, Glassberg, shut it down. This same woman who said her children were worried in the last months took to wearing a pistol in a leather holster on her right hip. She sure as hell didn't think she'd have to do that while working at a butterfly refuge. She said she wears it just to let the folks who are coming now know that they're not the only ones who carry weapons. Yeah, the candidate for Congress is from Virginia, a woman named Kimberly Lowe. Can you imagine? They went all the way to the center so they could look for, I guess, the poor little children there who needed to be saved. I don't know. On January 30, weeks ago, a whole bunch of people marched to the center. Some were armed with long guns, and they were singing Amazing Grace. Now, there it is. There is that intersection of Christianity and insanity and right-wing scary. And the Christians got some work to do, because there is little doubt that what fueled the Republican Party's move to fascism is the evangelical base more than anything. And I don't know. I don't know what all the other Christians are going to do about this. I know a lot of evangelicals have tried and have been given the same treatment that Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger have. They've been expelled. They've been shunned. Singing Amazing Grace, holding their guns. Now, the reason this place got targeted in the first place is it's near where Steve Bannon wanted to build, remember that private section of border wall? And he raised a lot of funds for that purpose. Next to no wall was put up. I believe he is now indicted, didn't he? Is that what he is facing indictment for now? I don't know. He's been indicted more than once. I can't keep it. It was, as so many things are, for the people who surround Donald Trump, it was a grift. And the center opposed the wall. So I guess that meant they must be like sexually trafficking children. And people believe it. And they drive from Virginia all the way down to the border and accost women who took a job thinking they were going to be outdoors among butterflies. That's your America. Ain't pretty. Oh, there, I got it in. Another thing that I want to get in is something that really blew my mind. I don't even know where I came across it, but it's about Amelia Earhart. I'm not kidding. It makes me wanna. I gotta get around to reading a biography, good biography of this remarkable woman. There was a picture of her that popped up, and man, she was an amazing looking person. She was wearing the coolest. She had like on this leather trench coat and like these really tight pants and then laced up boots up to her knees. She looked so cool. And this is when women didn't wear pants, right? And they sure as hell weren't supposed to be flying airplanes. And it sent me down this rabbit hole looking for, I don't know, information about her. And I came upon a letter that she wrote to a publisher named George Putnam, who was her fiance. She called him GP. And he'd been asking her to marry him so long. And she was reluctant, to say the least, because it just didn't seem to fit into who she was and what she wanted. And to think of a woman before feminism, before of having the courage to follow her own dream, to flout what society said she had to do. And you know what? George Putnam, the publisher, loved her for it. It's one of the things he loved about her. How amazing she was. And so she agreed that she would marry him. But she wanted to make sure that he understood where she was coming from. They, by the way, married in, I'm looking for the year here, 1931. She disappeared in 37. So in 31, she writes him this letter. And by the way, when I said he encouraged her. He wrote to her. Oh, he made sure that some people will say, I can't believe you let her fly. And he said, I don't let her fly. I don't have anything to say about it. And I encourage her. And he said this: women who earn their salt are entitled to have what they want to put the salt on. So he saw her as a wondrous being living her life. He just wanted to be married to her. So she wrote him this to make sure everybody was on the same page. I'm going to read you this. She wrote it from Noank, sure I'm pronouncing it right, Connecticut. The Square House, Church Street. Does your house have a name? I'm going to name mine. The Square House, Church Street. Dear GP, there are some things which should be writ before we are married. Things we have talked over before, most of them. You must know again my reluctance to marry. My feeling that I shatter thereby chances in work, which means most to me. I feel the move just now as foolish as anything I could do, I guess, to marry. I know there may be compensations, but I have no heart to look ahead. On our life together, I want you to understand, I shall not hold you to any medieval code of faithfulness to me. Nor shall I consider myself bound to you similarly. She's talking about open marriage. She says monogamy is medieval. She continues, if we can be honest, I think the difficulties which arise may best be avoided should you or I become interested deeply or even in passing in anyone else. She's saying, look, if we have a fling, let's just be open about it. Let's be honest. Let's agree beforehand that that's okay. I understand, you understand, but I am married to you. Then she goes on. Please let us not interfere with the other's work or play, nor let the world see our private joys or disagreements. In this connection, I may have to keep some place where I can go to be myself now and then. She's arguing for a room of her own. For I cannot guarantee to endure at all times the confinement of even an attractive cage. Now she sees marriage. I must exact a cruel promise. And that is, will you let me go in a year if we find no happiness together? I will try to do my best in every way and give you that part of me you know and seem to want. She signed it A.E. Whoa! You tell me how many women about to be married today would write that. Would be that forthright. And how many men on the receiving end would say, hey, I love you. You tell me. Mind-blowing. Ooh. What else I got here? I got a few things, but somebody pointed out, and this is so true, the same people who think Obama was a Muslim are the people who think Donald Trump is a Christian. I mean, how can some people be so wrong all the time and take pride in it? Speaking of idiots, these truckers in Canada have ignited something that you better be ready to see here. I suspect there's little doubt that will happen. It's already spread to, where did I see, New Zealand, someplace else. The nature of our world today is that once a group decides to do some performance art with a political bent, it will be covered, it will be shown around the world, and it ends up having impact on a global scale. That then means that
actors with what is the word? With malicious intent will join in, egg on, promote. Somebody tried to check out the Facebook posts that were lauding the truckers' protests. And they traced it, much of what was on Facebook, to one source. And it was a woman, I forget, in Kansas or something. Contacting the woman in Kansas, she said her account had been hacked. Now, you got, and does Facebook do anything? No, Facebook, well, I don't know. Hacked by who? Well, here's the kind of thing that the Russians love. And I don't know how many of us are aware that we are under assault as a nation all the time by Russia and other countries that wish us ill. And they do it through social media. Amplify things that will divide us, cause us to be screaming more at each other. They've been doing it now, we know, for years and years. Shame on us for not being more aware of it and less willing to believe what we see. God. Facebook, Meta. Is that Meta now? Yes, Meta, which seems to be having some difficulties these days, which I love. I'm sorry, I have callers and I never saw that. Oh, shit. I'm sorry, guys. It's too late. It's too late. The show's done. I am so sorry. Sometimes I just go off and I forget that I'm sorry. Damn it. Maybe tomorrow, huh? Caller, I'll make an effort. I'm making a note to myself right now. Check callers. I wish there was something right on my screen, but there isn't. Okay, I'm sorry. I just can't right time. But I just wanted to get this in. Speaking of Meta, one of its board members, another billionaire, a vile human being. And again, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Is it Thiel? Thiel? He's just vile, Peter. Thiel. Don't know how to pronounce it. He resigned from the board of Facebook Meta because he wants to spend all his energy getting Trump-backed candidates elected. And I just came upon something. So just so you understand who this SOB is. He wrote over 10 years ago that he no longer believes that freedom and democracy are compatible. So he predates the Johnny-come-lately fascists. This is a full-blown fascist here. He does not see that democracy and freedom are compatible. And went on to deplore the vast increase in welfare beneficiaries. This is a billionaire a few times over, thinking, like so many billionaires do, that what's wrong with this world is the poor people have all the money. Oh, look at all that money they've got. We keep giving them money. And he also bemoaned, get this,
allowing women to vote. Said it was a grave mistake that had been made 100 years ago. Yep. And he's going to take all his billions, or a lot of them, make sure this country starts heading in the direction he wants it to. Full-blown fascist state. All right, I'm done. Again, my apologies to the callers. Call early tomorrow. We'll remember what we were talking about. Whatever. That's all I can say. All right. See you tomorrow. And I guess tomorrow is my last. Oh, this is going to be rough on me in some ways. My last show for a month. Okay? Got to go and get myself collected. Enjoy this beautiful day.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.